This is Harrison Tinsley. He's one of the few fathers who successfully gained custody of his son after his child's mother attempted to socially transition him.
I started to try to pretend he was non-binary. She would call him they. She had posts sometimes of him with makeup on or a dress. He didn't seem to be into it at all. He's also just so young that he wouldn't even know what that means. He was like, Dad, when I went to Disneyland, I couldn't go on the rides unless I wore my princess shoes. I didn't want to wear princess shoes. I wanted to wear boy shoes.
This problem goes far beyond Harrison's story. Now he's on a warpath to ensure the public is aware of this new fight that parents are facing and making sure that laws are equipped to prevent any and all dangerous influences from harming children. Let's go back to the beginning of your story and let's kind of walk through the whole thing and then we'll unpack it further. Take me back to 2018.
Pacifica, California, singing karaoke.
Love.
I saw a pretty blonde girl and I just started singing to her, basically, and got her number and we started dating and fell in love and it was amazing and she has so many wonderful qualities. And basically, she just got pregnant super quick into our relationship, like a few months. Thankfully, we were both excited. We were hoping for a boy. We found out it was a boy super early. I think it was like 10 weeks.
Wow.
And we were stoked and we were trying to come up with names and we came up with the name she did at Sawyer. And I was like, that's perfect. That's totally it. And then a bunch of stuff happened from there. But, you know, in the beginning, it really was pretty fairy tale-y.
Mm-hmm. So it was all good. So you were dating when she got pregnant and for the first couple months. And then talk to me about that time where it transitioned from being a happy relationship, she's pregnant, you're experiencing all those things for the first time, to it going a completely different direction.
Basically, probably a few months into the pregnancy, I started getting a lot of threats that I wasn't going to see Sawyer, like daily. It seemed like over political issues. Obviously, I can't speak for her.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like she would bring up like a hypothetical, like, oh, well, what if her kids was trans? Like, what would you do? And I'd be like, well, I wouldn't like affirm a delusion.
Yep.
You know, my kid's 18, maybe they could do something, but I would never go along with that.
Yeah.
And she'd get very upset. And I remember she posted on social media, like Facebook, Instagram, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, baby Sawyer due in December, I'll love you whether you're a boy or girl or neither. Which was weird because we were both hoping for a boy.
Yeah.
And then
at that time, did you know it was a boy?
Yeah.
So she knew he was a boy already.
Yeah.
And she still
she
gave the caveat, right?
Yeah.
On social media.
And left me off it, which I found a little hurtful. But yeah.
And did you address that with her? Like, what was this? And obviously, that started probably to feel like a red flag.
Yeah, it felt red flaggy, but
yeah.
I'm sure I brought it up, but it was usually not happy and fun. She had extreme ups and downs in a way, in my non-professional opinion, of severe mental health crisis, which is something I've never experienced. Because I feel like a lot of people nowadays have all these mental health problems, whether it's depression or anxiety or different things, which I think are all normal human emotions.
Yeah.
Maybe some people need help with it and have it more than others, but this was very serious. There were some times where she really did things that scared me having our baby in her belly.
Yeah.
Because she thought about potentially, theoretically, not living anymore. It was really scary, and that's why I didn't feel like I could do anything in court. Until he was born, I was worried about something happening.
Yep. Relationship dynamics are already tricky at times, so I'm just trying to envision or really imagine having someone who's also kind of threatening this massive thing in your life to be taken from you if the relationship gets shaky, like that you wouldn't want to rock the boat, or you wouldn't want to bring that, even the post up to a certain degree, because it's like, well, I don't want to stir anything because this area obviously is getting her upset.
Yeah, and you're worried about the baby, like as an example, right? So, and she gets to a point, maybe like 4.5 months into the pregnancy, she completely breaks up with me, has her attorney send me some letter, sort of like a cease and desist letter. You know, I didn't really know what to do, but I remember that the original due date was December 16th. I knew that. I didn't know when he was born, you know, when it happened. It was December 11th. But I didn't even know till like a week later. One of her friends on social media was just like, hey, I think you should know this. And, like, sent me a picture and told me. I completely missed the birth, half the pregnancy. And then I didn't get to meet him until 15 months later. But
yeah. Talk to me about from the time that the cease and desist happened. So you just are not communicating with her? Are you expecting that you're still going to get to learn about the birth and attend it or anything like that?
It's a great question that I feel like no one's asked me. And I was just completely unsure, but I'll just tell you that I was scared
Mhm.
to try to reach out to her, not only because of the attorney thing, but because of some of her history of bad thoughts she's had in the past.
Yep.
I didn't want anything to potentially hurt the baby, so I felt like I couldn't reach out to her because I just wanted to make sure the baby was safe.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I found out he was born, figured out what to do, and like the self help center. And it was February, like 2 months later, I filed all this paperwork. I don't think I actually thought she would like completely keep him from me as she
Yeah,
did, but it was just immense pain and
yeah,
torture.
yeah,
I mean, you kind of, from the pregnancy to not meeting him for 15 months, it was like this indescribable pain. Like, I have a son
yeah,
who doesn't even know I exist. It was really hard. Yeah, every time you lay your head at night, it's like that's what goes through your brain. And
yeah.
like all you want to do is meet your son. And I it brought me closer to God. It made me a stronger
Mhm.
man. It was obviously a trying time.
Yeah.
I listened to the whole Bible for the first time, like
Wow.
throughout. I was always Christian, but I feel like it made my faith a lot stronger.
Mhm.
And I think it made me the man I am to be the best dad for
Mhm.
Sawyer and a
Yep,
better protector of children because it really, going through things is what
yep.
makes you come out stronger.
Yeah. From the time that you found out, okay, your baby boy has been born, talk to me about the process of those 15 months or 13. Was it 13 months or 15 months from like,
15,
okay,
it was 13 months when I filed, but it
okay.
was like 2 months of figuring out what to do. I got all these forms, paperwork, self help center,
Yeah.
and it's like hundreds of pages. You have to fill out all sorts of stuff, and then you have to get the paternity test. And I actually won technically by default.
Okay.
So she got served with my initial custody visitation, parenting rights, all that, and didn't respond in the allotted amount of time. It's called a
Okay.
default. I don't
Yep.
remember if it was 30 or 60 days. But then, in spite of that, they were like, "Oh well, COVID, so we're just gonna let it slide." And then that was a reoccurring theme, was using that to keep him from me and
Whoa.
from like house limits or house like people from different houses and
Yep.
all sorts of stuff. And it was just kind of like, this time of really I don't know, introspection and
Yeah.
just trying to be like the best dad and man I could be. I just
Yep.
kind of started exercising like crazy, writing songs and just doing anything I could to keep myself sane till I
Yeah.
can meet my son.
Well,
It
that's
was
what I was
really
gonna ask.
hard.
Like, how
Yeah.
did you keep yourself calm? Because
I
I
ran a
can't.
lot.
Okay. Just
And
fitness
I'm in
and
music.
yeah.
I write
Yep.
songs, so I was doing that. I wrote my son some songs before I even met him, and yeah, I mean, it was really hard. I
Yeah.
can laugh about it now, but it was like
I,
probably the worst thing in my life.
I
Yeah.
can't even fathom. Did you see him on social media at all? Was there any kind of you were watching from afar?
Yeah, I believe I'd see some pictures of him on social media, but at first it seemed all normal, and she was treating him as a boy, and
Okay.
it was just hard to see pictures of him. I was like, oh my gosh, but I
Yeah.
never got to look him in the eyes like you and me
Yep.
for literally 15 months.
Talk to me about finally getting custody, finally getting visitation. What was that like when you first got to meet him?
Okay, so visitation starts, and the judge is like, that's a shame, like travesty. I don't get how it's been that long.
Wow.
And then I don't know, I just like saw him for the first time and like our eyes locked, and it was just like immediate magic, miracle frequency everywhere throughout,
I
like
bet.
all around us, throughout
Yeah.
my body and my heart. It was just like, wow, I'm like finally a dad. This is like literally my mini me. And he totally is too,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
cool.
He looks just like you.
But yeah, I mean, it was just like pure love and bliss, the most heavenly thing ever. And we were just playing, and I remember doing headstands and looking at each other upside down. And he's just laughing, and he's got like, I don't know, he's got these really bright eyes, and it was just like so crazy and
Mhm.
amazing. And then I remember he took a nap. He's, 15 months old, so I put him down for his nap. He made me hold him, and like, or he would like cry, like, so I held him till he fell asleep, and then I was
Mhm.
just like holding him. He was laying on me sleeping, and I remember just breaking down, crying like I've never have before. It was just like, wow, I'm finally a dad.
How did he react with you just even just that first day? Obviously, it
Yeah,
sounds he was just immediately comfortable with you.
yeah. It was like we were meant to be. It was just totally aligned, and he wasn't like scared of me in any way or anything, and it
Yep.
was just amazing. And I did a bunch of visits, and that was actually kind of crazy too, the visits, because at first they tried to have someone be there watching, like
Okay.
just anyone, like mom's parent or friend and whatever. And there was just a
Okay.
bunch of weird things all the time. Like we found like a camera one time. I don't know if the camera is recording. I'm not claiming it is, but
Right,
I thought it was odd.
oh,
My son
yeah.
like went up to it and grabbed it himself, and that's the only reason I saw it. And I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
okay. There was different things like my mom and sister were with me,
Mhm.
and we were visiting Sawyer.
Yeah.
One of her dads was watching
Yeah.
or supervising or something, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like it was right on the water in the bay by the
Okay.
ocean. We just got to this little place with like some stuff you could kind of climb on and jump off.
Mhm.
And my sister's like, Harrison, he's like in the bushes watching us. I was like, what?
Oh
I
my
was like, I don't know if that was like intentional or he was tired
god.
or what that means, but she even has pictures and we showed the court even. It was
Wow.
like sitting in the bushes watching us for some reason.
So how long did those visitations happen before you actually got 50-50 custody?
It was, I met him in March
Okay.
and I got 50-50 in August.
Wow.
So 5 months. And I basically moved back to the Bay Area a little sooner than that. It
Okay.
filed like, hey, I live here now. I should have half custody,
Yep.
etc. And to the judge's great credit, she actually immediately was like, yeah, you absolutely should have half custody right
Wow.
now.
By this time, was anything weird happening with the social transitioning or pretending that your son was non-binary via your ex? Anything like that yet?
Nothing that I had known about, but
Okay.
literally like day of me getting it, it seemed like that started happening. Like
So like a switch, like
immediately, like defamation of me, horrendous, completely false
yep.
defamation of me, like publicly on social media, and then started try to pretend he was non-binary,
Whoa.
calling it, and then, I don't know what period, but it was right when I got half custody. It really upset her, I think. And
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, defamation of me big time, enough that I got a temporary restraining order
Wow.
and later a criminal protective order. And yeah, I started to try to pretend he was non-binary and, just really weird stuff. He didn't seem to be into it at all. He's also just so young that he wouldn't even know what that means, so it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
What were
Mm,
the
She
indicators
would
that she
call
was
him
saying that?
they. I saw her, like, she had posts sometimes of him with makeup on or like a dress. He said, like, another example was like, oh, he's like, I think it was his second birthday, but she took him to Disneyland whenever it
Okay.
was, and he was like, Dad, when I went to Disneyland, like I couldn't go on the rides unless I wore my princess shoes. I didn't want to wear princess shoes. I wanted to wear boy shoes. And I have that. I mean, I have that on video, and that's exactly what he told me. He
Wow.
told me on his own, and that just seems crazy. You're at the happiest place on earth, but you can't go on the rides unless you wear a
Yeah.
certain type of shoe. So I was just like, oh, you can go on all the rides no matter what shoes
Yeah.
you wear, buddy.
Yeah.
Like that's not a thing.
You're getting pieces of this from him and from social media that when he goes into your ex's custody, things are being said or potentially being said and you have no recourse to do anything about it. Like what are you thinking in that situation?
Well, there was the defamation of me, so I did file for that. There was
Okay.
there was that stuff which I did bring up. There was, his mom got arrested not too long after that
Okay.
for something pretty serious, and so
Oh.
I brought all those things to court to try to get full custody because of
Yeah.
the arrest and those things, and it was initially denied.
Okay.
And like it was so weird too because what I heard from the appropriate government agencies
Mhm.
about the story
Mhm.
just seemed to be very downplayed from when I re- received the actual 911 call, police reports, and then the body cam footage the most.
Wow.
But and then I got a motion for reconsideration for asking for a trial for full custody. And that
Okay.
was granted based on the body cam footage.
Now, had CPS been involved in that or any prior incidents that you were aware of or unaware of at that time?
That was the first one that I was made aware of.
Okay. Were there others before that that you were not aware of?
I don't believe so, but there's
Okay.
subsequent ones in the future for sure.
Wow.
That was just the first one.
So that's so you start to want custody, full custody essentially, and then other incidents happened after that period
Well,
of
so we
time?
have this trial, right? It ends
Okay.
up being 5 afternoons. We got a lot of the evidence in. It was kind of a ridiculous little show. Like her attorney would just object to every sentence, like I or a police officer, whoever said every single sentence, objection, objection, objection. and it was kind of ridiculous, but we ended
Yeah.
up getting like half of our evidence in
Okay.
as not hearsay.
Yep.
It's kind of ridiculous, but I guess that's how court works.
Yeah.
And I still felt like even with what we got in, like they
Yeah.
would at least make some changes.
Okay.
But I don't know, a month or two later, were like, yeah, we're keeping custody 50-50. Like we're not touching the gender thing. And they didn't grant me a full restraining order, even though I had a temporary one, which
Okay.
was violated. And thus I got a criminal protective order, which is more
Wow.
serious.
Yeah.
And I got it for that exact reason. So I thought it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I was pretty devastated because I'd spent all my money, like life savings on this trial,
Yeah.
all the money my family would ever help me with.
Now talk to me to the point when you actually got full custody. How did that happen?
It was just like out of nowhere. Like it's been like, I don't know, like almost 2 years or like a year and a
Yeah.
half of like doing podcast and just speaking up about it and having my half custody and lots of little small custody disagreements and all these things and, doing like actually your guys' movie, which was really cool because this happened before it was put out. So we got to add it to the end,
Oh.
which was kind of incredible.
Yeah.
But I just one day, like I had a couple missed calls and I was getting called again. I answered it. It was just like, hey, dude, this is like the SFPD. You need to come pick up your son. So I was just like, okay. And then thankfully, because of my criminal protective order, I had talked to this cop one time
Okay.
and he was just super cool. And he kind of told me exactly what went down that night, which was like horrifying.
Yeah.
And I picked him up immediately. He told me the story. It was a very scary incident, very violent. And I actually filed an ex parte. I don't know if it was the next day or the one after that, but an
Okay.
immediate like emergency thing. And it was denied, which blew my mind. But CPS Hero were like, oh, well, that's okay. We don't care. We're
Wow.
not. And CPS are the absolute heroes in this story. So not
Wow.
anyone who tells you all CPS workers are bad, that's absolutely not true. Even in San Francisco, California,
Wow.
heroes. Politics aside, I don't think they agreed with me, but they were just like, this is about a child's safety and I don't care about any of that.
Yep.
And they really stepped up and immediately made like a safety plan and,
Wow.
visitations and drug testing
Yeah.
and all these things and did like a 4-month investigation and which resulted thankfully in me getting full custody, which is a dream come
Wow.
true.
Yeah.
It's like my
Yeah.
whole life flashed before my eyes and
Yeah.
like from not seeing him and now I have full custody while the whole world's watching and like you're even ending the movie with it and I don't even know how it's possible, but thank you God. And it was crazy.
Yeah, what describe that feeling as best you can of you finally, even though
Yeah.
the circumstances were ugly to get to that point, you finally have your baby safe and full custody.
And it was just like pure adrenaline and like, wow, like I did it. How?
Yeah. Like through all
Thank you,
that
God.
pain. So right, so much negativity and struggle to get there. But the
Anything
victory
is
is there.
possible. Yeah. You just
Yeah.
don't give up and stay positive. But I just always stay like it's possible. And like Han Solo, I don't care the odds. I'm taking it. I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter.
What is that like now to have custody of your son and get to spend every day with him?
I literally spend every day with him. It's like the best thing ever. I make my own schedule. So
Wow.
sometimes I just bring him to work. Sometimes like, we do homeschool. We do like just all these sports. He's doing hockey, wrestling, and jujitsu. He's going to start lacrosse soon.
Nice.
And I just like assistant coach them all. And I just kind of spend as much time as I can with him. Just like when I had half custody, I absolutely did not work when I had half custody.
Wow.
Those days I was just with him because I knew that's like what he needed. I knew it was
Yeah.
more important than money. And I'm really glad I knew that so
Yeah.
early because it's definitely the case in my belief system that like my son is what matters more than anything. So
Yeah.
I just spent all this time with him. He's so cool. He's totally a boy. He's like the most boyish boy that I even know, his age. And it's just, we just do everything, like play hockey and ride motorcycles. And he loves Nerf guns and like football and wrestling and fireworks and just like everything cool.
Yeah.
Everything I thought was cool growing up in love, he's just totally into.
You get to see like a
And he's
mini you now grow up.
literally.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing ever. And like whenever we meet a random person, they'll be like, oh, your son's so cute. He's like a mini you.
Yeah.
And it's just, he's literally incredible. He's so brave too. Like through all this, like he doesn't, at least like that, he seems just totally normal. I don't know how it's even possible. I would think
Yep.
going through the things he has, that he would be in a harder place. But
Yeah.
he's just like a normal, happy, fun
And
kid, and he's just as brave as they come.
what do you think fatherhood has taught you now that you're in it and you've been in it for years?
Responsibility, duty, putting someone
Mhm.
else above yourself, a love that I don't think you can understand. You'll know soon.
Yeah. I'm
But
excited.
it's just like, I don't know, whatever, however much you thought you could love
Mhm.
gets multiplied by like a million once you see your kid. No matter how long it's been, it's just like
Yeah.
it opens your heart to an amount of love you didn't know existed, and it just
Mhm.
literally transcends
Mhm.
everything else in your life. Like those things that like I love music. I
Mhm.
love snowboarding. I love football, hockey, right?
Yep.
Being a dad's 10,000 times cooler. It's just like the best thing ever. So
So
just
cool.
profound love,
Yeah.
responsibility, duty. Like I need to do everything I can to keep
Mhm.
this kid safe and have the best life possible.
Yeah, I think too the protective nature that comes out with that and that you've experienced even before you ever got to meet him, that sense of like, I have to protect my son and I have to just be you are the best person to care for him, you know? And I think that that's
And now that you bring that up, I don't
yeah,
think I often mention this, but you know, without naming names, there was
yeah.
plenty of people who were like, look, family court is really tough, especially for dads.
Mhm.
And like maybe you should just write it off. You can always have more kids when you're older, like a normal person. Plenty of people close to me advised me that.
Yep.
And I was just like, nope,
Yep.
never. I mean, what's crazy is that Charlie Kirk, when he interviewed me,
Yeah.
Charlie was like, it's so hard for dads, and like,
Mhm.
man, it's just like blah, blah, blah. And don't you ever feel like giving up? And I was like Charlie, I was literally like, no, you'd have to kill me to stop fighting for Sawyer. I'd literally never stop. I don't care what
Yep.
the odds are. And he's like, that's beautiful and admirable.
Yeah.
And then he's the one who actually died
Mhm.
beautifully and admirably,
Yeah.
standing up for what he believes. Like I was saying to
Yep.
him, I just thought it was so crazy we had that
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know the fight and that, like, he was willing to do anything for it.
Yeah.
You're willing to do anything for it to especially with this issue of the trans issue and protecting kids. And now you've experienced it firsthand. What are you seeing now because you are this advocate? People do now know your name and come to you for this of, "Hey, I've experienced something similar," or getting advice. What are you seeing? Like, is this a widespread problem?
I see that it's a couple things. So first of all, it's a widespread problem. I
Mhm.
have people reach out to me almost daily wanting help or advice or just tell me their story, and they're just heartbreaking stories. There's thousands, tens of thousands. There's so many parents,
Mhm.
mostly dads, a few moms though, to their great credit too. But it's just everywhere. Most
Mhm.
people lose custody, and it's just like I don't know how we're trying to pretend the most basic human truth there is, the difference between like a man and a woman
Yeah.
has any blurred lines in between or otherwise,
Right.
because it's just no, like God made men and women, or even if you're not religious, it's fine. It's just so apparent
Yeah.
and obvious in any scientific way you want to measure it, every chromosome.
Mhm.
And it's just like we're doing that to children. And
Yeah.
I do feel this huge momentum shift. Like I
Mhm.
actually think we're winning this and we're going to end this trans insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel it everywhere. It's just
Yep.
like anywhere I go, anyone I talk to, Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill passed the House.
Yeah.
I pray it passes the Senate. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was,
Is there talk about that bill, that's
yeah,
the child
Protect Children's Innocence Act, I
yes,
think.
and that it passed the House.
House,
It needs
believe.
to go to the Senate. I'm hearing that, like, it's
It
still in,
can't.
like, the early stages, it's not, like, going to be up quite yet. Is there momentum around that, you think that that one's gonna pass through?
I'm hoping so. I asked Nick
Yeah.
Freitas the other day.
Yeah.
He's super cool. I guess he's not in Congress anymore, but I asked him at AmFest,
Mhm.
like where I saw you.
Yeah.
And he was like, he gave such a profound, awesome answer to me in general. But he ended up saying basically like, you know, I'm all like small government guy, but
Mhm.
this is like the most evil thing we've ever done to children, and we absolutely cannot participate in this. So
Yep.
if we have to end the filibuster to get it done, we should do that. And I was
Yeah.
really surprised because he's very libertarian. I think some way we are going to end it. I feel it
Yeah.
just everywhere. This
The
shift, like everyone's
shift.
against it,
Mhm.
and by the way, where I live in the Bay Area,
Yeah.
I don't meet anyone who supports it. Even if they're liberal or whatever they are, they're like, that's insane. Of course not. Every parent I've ever met, like
Wow.
they're not into it. And I don't know where all these supporters are. It feels like our representatives aren't representing us. Because
Yeah.
I'm in right in the Bay Area, like as liberal as it gets, and
Yeah.
they're all against it.
Now there was the bill, the AB 957 in California.
Yes.
That didn't end up passing, correct? That
That
would've
one was amazing.
right. You were involved in that process, right? You went to the hearings. Talk to me about that bill, and
Okay.
obviously now we know the results, but still it's a crazy bill, and kinda describe it a little bit.
Okay, so the bill was, like, perfect for what we're talking about. It was
Yeah.
literally advising judges in family court to put weight on giving more custody to the parent that affirms a kid's gender identity or expression. So, I went up to the author of the bill, Lori Wilson. It's on video. Talked to her for like 7 or 8 minutes. Very reasonable and nice about it. Talked to Scott Wiener. I talked to them in one of their committee hearings, I think,
Okay.
about it. And I would be like, okay, so here's my situation then. I'm curious. My son says he's a boy, and I affirm that.
I agree.
And so his mom tries to pretend he's non-binary, and he doesn't like that. He doesn't want to do that. So
Mhm.
I want to be the first person to get custody with your bill. I love it.
Mhm.
And they were like, yeah, that's, or at least the author was like, yeah, that's how the bill would work. Yeah, in your case, you should have that. But I don't believe in reality it would have worked out that way. And obviously, we're pushing really hard to get it stopped.
Mhm.
And then miraculously, because it did pass, Newsom vetoed it, which I still don't even know how that happened. It's one of those miracles that,
Right.
yeah, but
Yeah, he vetoed it for, like, other like, not
it
the
would have been
reasons, like, we
interesting though.
think, but still, it was yeah, I was shocked that it didn't go through, but also so glad
Yeah,
because it would've
same.
been a huge help to the opposite parent that wants the child to be whatever, or especially if the child is saying that they are that thing, which is obviously for your case.
Yeah,
He was never
and
like, I'm a girl, but for other families, absolutely would have been correct happening.
devastating.
Yes.
Yeah, even though they already are devastated with or without the bill, it's already basically in effect without the bill written.
Right.
But there was also like, because I've been to the Capitol quite a few times, not as much lately. I should go back. I think I'm letting some people down one of my favorite people I've ever met in politics, one of the Freedom Angels, told me like, if you're not at the Capitol, no one is. And like I've been there before, it's just empty, and like maybe there's like 5 people there.
Mhm.
Like for AB 957, there's like thousands of parents, right?
Wow.
Like, but usually
Against
it's
it.
just, yeah, against
Okay.
some for it
Right,
too,
but
but some even are up there like, I'm a lifelong liberal or progressive,
yep.
like lesbian, and but this bill is insane.
Wow.
There's so many of those in California that said that exact sort of thing.
That gives me hope for California too, that, like
I think California people are honestly like libertarian, just like do whatever you want.
mhm.
I don't see this crazy, I don't know, like there's like this idea like California. Like I
Yeah,
swear
yeah.
the people actually do not want to pay that much in gas and taxes,
Right.
and they don't want to trans kids.
Yep,
I meet them all the time.
yep.
I think it's a lot more normal.
Yeah, I think people California gets kind of a bad rap because there's the big cities, but then the
Yeah,
rest of California, I don't actually think often believes what the cities believe, but that's how most of these states are.
true.
Pennsylvania's the same way. It's
It
like you get the 2 big
Washington,
cities and
Oregon, yeah, they
yep,
just like the
yep,
whole state, SF, LA.
yeah. But I think what's kinda scary too is we don't think that our leaders are necessarily representing us because the modern average person is saying, "No, that's crazy." But then when you're in the family court system and the spouse is saying, "Well, so and so identifies as this and she's 6 years old," and the little girl's like, "Yeah, but like just completely these things they're happening to all these families like you're talking about. And then the court systems are siding with the parent who is affirming the delusion.
That's
What
that's what
you're
I've been
seeing that
seeing.
happening, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of dads who haven't seen their kids in years and aren't allowed to, or if they were hypothetically allowed to, or before when they were allowed to, it'd be like a supervised visit, and they had to call their son a girl,
oh,
or they'd end the visit and get really mad at them, which is just like a really messed up thing to ask of
yeah.
somebody to do.
Yeah.
Particularly when you know they're like they don't believe in that. Like, can't you at least respect it for their visit time or something? Like you
Right.
respect other things, right? Like parents, let's say you have half custody, you
Mhm.
can have totally different rules, and the court will even be like, yeah, you have to respect the other parent's parenting. You let them do what they want, like assuming it's not abusive on
Yep.
their time,
Yep.
and like maybe that's sometimes hard for the kids with different rules, like whether it
Sure.
be more TV or whatever the case, but they won't respect it for this. Doesn't seem like because that thousands of dads
Yeah.
don't see their kids over this.
What is the course of action for those families? Like, what can they be doing right now? What are they doing?
No one's really stepping up in family court, and that's what we really need is some attorneys to step up.
Mhm.
But as far as like if you're a parent, what can you do? Um, be the most dedicated, loving, boring parent that you can be, and
Yeah.
don't do anything wrong. and just decide that it's your duty to protect your kid.
Mhm. Is it helpful for those who maybe haven't heard your story yet to reach out to you? Like, are your DMs open? Can they, if they
Yeah,
have questions for
totally.
you, is it
Reach
best
out.
on social media platforms to reach out?
Yeah,
Okay.
social media, Instagram, X,
Yep.
Facebook. Yeah, I try to help everyone, and it's really hard because there's so many that if I don't keep track, I
Mhm.
apologize, but I'm definitely doing my best.
What is one of the most important messages you would say to just the general public out there, people who aren't necessarily experiencing this firsthand, but are watching this happening with people?
School board, local politics, you notice it happening in your town. Like,
Yep.
I mean, just don't wait until it comes to your doorstep. That's what everyone does.
Mhm.
Riley says this too. Like,
Yep.
I waited. You shouldn't even be like me. And I agree. Like, you should just speak up right away what you believe,
Mhm.
what the truth is. And this is absolutely a fact, truth, that there's boys and girls and that kids are being harmed irreversibly
Mhm.
without question.
Yep.
And don't wait until it's like your own kid or your own niece. It's
Yeah.
like, speak out now, run for school board, go to the Capitol,
Yeah.
get with Mom Army, Dad Army, our duty. It's just
Push.
start doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's like we are the majority. So
Yeah,
like show it in local politics. And I mean even the stuff with the gender, I'm seeing all the medical organizations that are like, actually, yeah, we don't
love that.
recommend it. They're backtracking and it's like they're running like fools. It's so funny to watch them. And I'm glad. I'm like, yes, run. Like run
Yeah,
with your
yeah.
tail between your legs and get out of here. But to see that suddenly the second a lawsuit happens, which is obviously just last week, they had the $2 million lawsuit for one of the children who detransitioned, and
Detransitioner, yeah.
then she won her lawsuit, thankfully. But now they're gonna just it's gonna tumble. Like all of this, I feel like is just gonna start happening in mass.
It is. And it's like you said, like the right side of history,
Mm-hmm.
not right in a political sense.
Right.
What we mean is you're going to have to look your kid and your grandkids in the eyes and yourself in the mirror when history looks back. Like we read all these books about World War II, like, oh, I would have helped,
Mm-hmm.
save the Jews or like fight for the good guys or
Yep.
Civil War. I would have like helped bring the slaves to the North.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, actually, if you're just quiet right now, you definitely wouldn't have done that.
Right.
Yeah, if you
Because in
got,
that time, you would have needed the courage for those things, and it would
hmm
have been easier to be in the silent majority that maybe disagrees but doesn't want to start, rock the boat.
yeah, so you got to be brave right now
Mm-hmm.
and do it because you are going to have to look yourself in the mirror and your kids in the eyes and tell them what you did in this moment. It's going to be written about.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's documented way more than it was then. It's going to be like the CIA probably is going to have every single thing you ever said to show your kids.
Unfortunately,
So,
yeah, yeah. No, it's such a good
yeah,
point. Being on the right side of history.
yeah. Speak up. Say what you believe to be true, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
at work or at home. You shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be scared to say what you believe. We're in America.
Mm-hmm.
We have First Amendment for a reason. It's so that we can talk about things like this, even if it seems scary or
Mm-hmm.
you might get canceled or whatever you think will happen.
Yeah.
Whatever happens as a result of telling the truth is the best thing that can happen. I think Jordan Peterson said that, and
So good.
it's true. And I can just tell you from experience, like all I've seen, no matter what pain and tragedy I've gone through, is my
Mhm.
life open up in so many ways that are incredible, miraculous, and
Yeah.
having a mission, something greater than myself, protecting kids. And it's like
Mhm.
you can't, and meeting you and people like you. And it's
Yeah.
just like you meet all these amazing people that are doing the same thing as you. And courage is contagious.
Mhm.
And there's just like nothing should be like off base when you're talking about protecting kids. Like this is what 99% of us think.
Mhm.
It's worth speaking up. You can't if you're like just constantly like believe like wow that's so crazy and you're just never saying anything about it because you're too scared to get canceled or fired. It's like you're living a lie. If you're not speaking something that's like in your heart out loud, you're just living in like a perpetual state of fear
Yeah.
and like your life's not going to be good. You're going to have this weight on you that can only be lifted if you say what you actually believe.
Mhm.
And like people look at people like Riley Gaines, right? Chloe
Yep.
Cole or you or me or whoever,
Yep.
all amazing, by the way. And they're like, oh, they're such heroes. But in reality, it's like they're actually just saying there's boys and girls.
Just saying
I
simple
mean,
truths. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
think too, if everyone who genuinely believes this, which I do think is the majority of people, simply said it, it would be a fringe idea. Like it wouldn't be
exactly.
some huge fight anymore. It would be back to where it should be, which is a crazy idea that should not be given any time of day. But
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the power of people not just saying, "Oh yeah, this is crazy," and then never saying publicly anything or helping when they can or
But a lot of them do get fired and they have a family to take care of, so what can they do, Reagan?
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
That's
it's
right.
actually, it's tough.
But that's where I think people like you come into play, where you have given this voice to this essentially voiceless community of people fighting this. Most people don't go public with this. Like that, I think that's another thing. People think like maybe it's just a few stories. No, those are the stories that you're bold enough to share because you're going to do anything and everything. But most people, there's a lot of fear and obviously uncertainty in going public with a story like this. So bringing it to light then exposes the fact of, oh my gosh, this is happening on a mass scale. And then also gives people, maybe I should be more courageous because dads are going through this, or moms are going through this, or children are going through this. And at the end of the day, yeah, do we want to be on the right side of history? And who's protecting the kids? And I think that's why I love what you've been up to. And I'm so grateful for you to come on the show and talk about it, but more so just to do everything you did for your son. And
He's
now
so amazing, Reagan. It's crazy.
It's so cool. I thank you for protecting kids, truly, in every sense of the word. And yeah, it's an honor to be talking with you today.
Thank you for caring so much about kids.
Of course.
We have to protect them.
Yep, the fight continues.
Doesn't matter what they call you. Doesn't matter what they do to you. Doesn't matter what they take from you. They can never take from you that you did the right thing and that you stood up for your kids. And I want you to do that too. We need to be brave.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you got something out of this episode, make sure to let me know by leaving a comment, liking, subscribing, and don't forget to share with your friends. I'll see you in the next episode.